Well, I'm very pleased to be here with Guy Dixon, founder and CEO of NINA. He's the guy behind a great new physical distribution system for utilities. So, Guy, what does NINA stand for?
NINA stands for Networked Infrastructure National Architecture. And the idea behind the name, made simple by NINA, is that we have in our societies a whole series of networked infrastructure. And they're primarily power systems, electricity, data and communication systems, such as optical fibers, the telephone network, etc. We also have the mobile system, which is a wireless system that plugs into distributed optical fibers. And we also have gas distribution, and we have water distribution.
And how does your solution work?
Well, basically, we've gone into the streetscape to measure where is an alternative place to put things.
Okay.
Or what would an alternative system, if you were redesigning cities from scratch, how would you do it now? Traditionally, what we do is that we carry cables on poles, or we bury them under the footpath. We bury fluids in the form of piping. We also put that underneath the footpath. There are a lot of disadvantages to doing it that way. Basically, we dig up the streets, we clutter the footpaths, and we disfigure the landscape, and we also create a very vulnerable architecture. So whenever there's a storm, power poles come down. Whenever there's an earthquake, we get ruptured pipes. If there's flooding, we get damaged utilities and utilities infrastructure. And so the solution we've come up with is to redesign the concept of the curb and gutter. So we now integrate it with a series of channels. And the channels are covered by a lid which forms part of a pathway or a curb and gutter. It forms a water harvesting system by having an inner channel. Imagine a picture frame going around a block, and there are 3 or 4 channels that are within that frame. The inner one is to isolate water, therefore keeping it clean from contamination. The next one is to carry water distribution, gas and optical fibers. And the outer channel is to carry power systems. We need to isolate those systems for safety reasons.
And so your system collects the water before it gets to the road?
Absolutely. So we basically are harvesting 80% of the water that falls, or I should say isolating 80% of the water that falls within the urban environment from the 20% that is heavily contaminated through the road surface.
And are there any countries that this system will be particularly suitable for?
It's particularly suitable for, ironically, it's suitable for the whole world. And what's specific about the NINA system is that it enables you to redevelop an established area without having to demolish it. So basically, in Australia or in the United States in particular, you see massive power pole networks. You take a country like Japan. We recently had the images of the tsunami and power poles and light poles being knocked over like they were blades of grass. This system would protect it from that. A country like New Zealand, where they've had earthquakes, what the system does is that because it's inherently flexible, it's located at the street surface, it can take movements and shakes, but is not exposed to the wind.
So cities could set up your system in 1 or 2 suburbs and then expand out over time?
That's correct. I describe it as being like grass. Once you've established the root system or a small patch of grass, then the runners will go out.
Right.
And so conceptually what you do is you start building around a point of access to, say, a trunk network or a large transformer station or whatever piece of infrastructure that is there, and then you build out block by block. The important thing about the NINA is that it's been designed to be retrofitted.
Right.
And this is really important because it changes the economic potential. Instead of just building it for the 1 or 2% of natural housing growth as new suburbs are built, we can actually target this at the 100% of the urban landscape that has been built already.
Right. Well, it's a fantastic innovation, and Guy, thanks so much for your time having a chat with me about it.
You're welcome.